Explorers in the further regions of experience.
Did you not listen?
Then the hell with you.
And welcome to the 133rd episode of Screaming Into the Void. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and joining me today are my co-hosts, green-haired anti-liberal.
Hello.
Yes, and Caucasian Sasquatch.
Salutations and greetings, everyone.
Welcome in. And popping in for the first time in a minute, Static 2020.
I saw Death Robots on the docket and I wanted to join.
Awesome.
Would, God damn it.
It is a good reason to do anything. Death Robots. So before we get into that, I got to apologize to everybody if I sound a little fucked up. It's because I did not sleep well. I'm still a little groggy, and I'm speaking slowly. It's a whole thing. So it's just bear with me on this. My voice is coming off a little bit like I smoked 20 packs of cigarettes in the last 12 hours, which is
I
did not do.
I want you to say, beef, it's what's for dinner.
Beef, it's what's for dinner. I don't know.
You
Did
really
that do
don't
it for you?
sound the same right now.
I was
I
almost
know,
there.
and
One more time.
Jesus.
Yeah. I swear I'm not dying, folks. It's just it's been a weird day. So that said, we're currently live on my channel, Samuel the Infamous. We are live on Caucasian Sasquatch's channel, Caucasian Sasquatch. We're also live on Twix and Rumble. If you're in any of those places, please do drop a chat so that we know that you're there. It's just going to be kind of a fun show today. There's obviously been some shit that's happened in the world this week that is ugly. And normally we cover ugly here. As I was telling Gal backstage, I don't have it in me to talk about dead kids right now. So we're going to skip right past that. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to it when there's more developments down the road or whatever. But for right now, that's if you wanna listen to stuff about that, then there are plenty of other channels talking about it right now. So here we're gonna get a little whimsical today. We have on the docket, as Static mentioned, Death Robots, which will be the first topic up. I also want to talk a little bit about the concept of morphic resonance, which is something that I've been reading a little bit about lately. It's really not that complex, Gal. It's like, yes, whimsy. This is whimsy for me.
Whimsy.
No.
Oh,
I
baby,
always
this is
wonder
going to
why
be
I am here. Why I'm
So-
invited.
whimsy.
Yes, thank you, young God. I was like, whimsy because it's slightly gay, right?
Yeah,
I
basically.
mean, yeah, a little bit.
I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
how
it's
you measure slight gayness. I'm
It's
trying
a little-
to go home on
A
anything.
little, what do they call it? Woo woo.
Look, it could be. It could be. I don't know that there's any truth to any of this. I just find the concept a little interesting. In the same way that I find the theory of evolution interesting, despite the fact that it's also bullshit and full of holes. So,
Yes.
it's or the concept of creationism, which I also find a bunch of holes in. Like I don't
Samuel,
think
I'm
we
very
have any
disappointed in you.
facts.
I'm very disappointed in you, young man. You are not supposed to question the science. St. Fauci told me you will go straight
I'm
to
not
a
supposed to
vaccine.
question God either, but I give him the finger all the time.
Oh no, it's totally socially acceptable to question God. As a matter of fact, it's better you just deny God.
But Fauci, now, that'll get you locked up.
It could get me locked up, even if he is the modern day Mengele. Welcome in, Abe. Almost called you the other
You're
name.
gonna say happy then, weren't you?
I
Bruh,
was.
God damn it.
That is a good line. I like that. The modern day Mengele. That is.
It's what he is.
Yeah, no, I see it. The very second you said it, I was like, oh, yeah. I'm surprised I
Oh.
haven't said that before.
Fauci, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes.
Funny
See,
though,
everybody
easy
knows
guess.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
No explanation needed.
Right. All right. So before we get too much further in, and I think we're also expecting Shadow of Hawk here in a little while. I will let's greet the chat. First up, we had Lawrence Knight, who may or may not be on, depending on what he's got going on today. We'll see. Thanks for stopping in, man. If you aren't, with BTK. Second, the rules keep changing. Samuel has become a dictator, appealing to SCOA, Supreme Court of Emira. I think that only really applies on her channel. Or she's the dictator.
So hear me out. When Clinton was in office, he walked in and found Hillary shoving a lemon in her twat.
What?
So immediately he went and started wrapping a potato peel around his penis. And she's like, "What in the hell are you doing?" And he says, "If you can be a sourpuss, I can be a dictator."
Oh my god.
I was wondering where you were going with this. I was pretty sure it was Lewinsky and it was a cigar, but all right.
You're welcome.
Don't make it kick you.
Promoted.
No more dad joke.
We also have John Denicola joining us today. Hello, John. Brandon Mitchell. Hello, welcome in. We've got Jan God, as mentioned previously. Always appreciate having you around, man, even if it is to talk about how our topics are, homosexual in nature. We have Chili Dog with us. Hello, Chili Dog.
Chili Dog all night.
I think that's everybody so far. Oh, look who's backstage. Hey, Shadow, welcome in.
Oh, great. We have chili dogs.
Howdy. I did not bring chili dogs.
That's fine. Nobody asked you to.
Oh,
You brought the egg.
All right. So first topic. Death robots, and not just death robots, but death robots. Here, I'm just gonna pull the fucking headline up and let you guys see it. This is fucking weird.
You're fucking.
Yeah, just yeet that thing up on the screen, man. Don't worry about it.
Right?
What is this going to be? The clone ones?
No, it's these
Not
things,
exactly.
man. These things are designed specifically to kill you. Have you ever seen Chappie? Just not nearly as friendly.
I did not
Yeah.
see Chaffee. No.
Yeah. War robot designed for defense bizarrely performs DJ set at nightclub. A fun moment. It looks like that.
This is a very American thing to do.
Yeah, that's pretty
Isn't it?
odd.
Actually, I kind of feel like it's something a foreigner would do, saying that it's a very American thing to do. I mean, DJ and a DJ robot sounds more like a Japanese thing than an American thing, maybe Korean.
See, the DJ robot part, absolutely Korean,
Right.
absolutely Japanese.
Daft
But
Punk
utilizing
did this better.
but utilizing a what I would assume to be test phase war robot. See, if it was an antique, okay, yeah, that's absolutely a Korean thing. But this thing is being designed actively for combat, and it's being used this way. That's funny. That feels
Yeah,
very.
well, they just thought, well, part of
Yes.
its skill set has to be to perform a DJ set, obviously. Because otherwise, how else are you going to organize your troops on the battlefield?
To quote the immortal words of Bradley Noel, Robbie Robot, no rock and roll MC.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, and this part here is fun. To Timothy Karoff of SF Gate, the robotic set was applaudable, but the fist bumps that came from the war machine were offbeat.
What?
It's like what happens when you let Chat GPT run your turntable. I guess I don't know, especially if Chat GPT's sole purpose is to murder everybody in the room.
Unless
It's
you're
open
gay.
about it.
It just like the fact that
For
we
now.
even have these
Or
things.
do
Like
you-
I understand, like this is right. Well, essentially, this is a natural evolution from like drone technology, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there's one thing here that a lot of people there. So when we're talking about these ambulatory android robots, the humaniform androids, right? We're talking about a chassis that has the capability of operating itself and very little else. So there can't be a whole lot of computational space on board. That has to be covered by a wireless network of some sort, and that bothers me.
Yeah, it's understandable because it could essentially form a network, a completely decentralized network, which in and of itself could ultimately form a Borg-style hive mind.
Okay, so I hear where you're going, and I don't necessarily disagree, but my point is that the Borg-style hive mind you're talking about is merely the one AI actually running all of them, like Vicky from iRobot.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Vicky was the operational auditor of all the systems involved in the robot thing. None of the actual robots had actual free will separate from Vicky, except Sunny, that was specifically built to have free will from Vicky because they knew that Vicky would inevitably go bad.
Technically, of the newer robots, none of them had.
Specifically the Sunny, what was it? The Sun E line or whatever it was. I can't remember.
I can't remember their. What was it? Damn it!
And Sam's gone.
Bye, Sam.
He doesn't like
Hi,
us.
Sam.
He's back.
If we say his name often enough, we'll summon him.
I'm worried about that. I mean, I was over here just saying it over and over last night, and I kept expecting the cold, tentacly touch of my friend.
See, you only expected it. I decided to test it with a mirror, and that was the worst 30 seconds of my life.
Yeah, I know. You had the light on. You're supposed to turn it off so you don't have to see your ugly mug.
I'm like the molesty candy man.
Yeah.
he's the candy ass.
Well, in this equation, kid, you're the candy ass.
Oh. Disappointed.
Baby, that's good.
You know, I gotta give it the shadow. Like, that kid is so much meme gold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I get my retainer fee of attention.
Oh, good. Because I'm going to give you some too there, big boy.
Oh.
We're going to spoon.
Okay, but this time you're Little Spoon.
I was mad about the last time.
Yeah.
So
what was the purpose behind having that machine do a DJ set? Or was it entirely performative?
I think it was performative. I think it was merely showing it off. There were probably investors in the room of that club.
Right. Right. And also, it shows how much control they have over the unit itself. The DJing is all right. So, and this is a point where I have a debate on whether or not you're seeing what they say you're seeing, because an AI, you can go get Grok or Grok 2 or whatever to set up some things for you. Inevitably, there are these errors, these glaring errors that a flesh and blood human simply would not do because it doesn't make sense. And yet the AI does it because it doesn't have experience or the certain something, the soul, I suppose.
Critical thinking.
It's just clockwork and lights.
Yeah.
It's ones and zeros.
So we're watching a robot AI perform as a DJ. Are we watching a robot telepresence perform as a DJ? Was there a person behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, flipping discs and scratching vinyl?
I mean, even if there was a person behind it and you didn't have the AI, it's still a very impressive feat of engineering. Now, if it is the actual AI doing it, That is also a very impressive feat of engineering, as well as an impressive feat of software engineering, and a sign that we probably need a few EMPs going off.
Look,
At least
kid,
in our pocket.
a hydrogen bomb is a very impressive piece of engineering, but it has but one purpose.
Yeah.
Pretty lights in the night sky.
Well, one really bright light, but yeah.
Doesn't it
Very
also
bright
have,
light.
You have aurora borealis is happening for days after one of those things goes off in the atmosphere. Just check out Operation Fishbowl. They'll tell
would
you.
would you even be able to see, like, after the cities burn and release all the smoke and CO2? Would you even be able to look up with like the layer of like soot? Would you even be able
All
to
the
see this guy?
cities? No.
Well, no, if you were present during the flash, you wouldn't be able to see
Yes.
shit. You'd be blind.
Well,
It
I
would
mean,
burn your corneas right out of your eyes.
You're a shadow on the wall.
No, I'm a shadow under a bird.
So Cybertosin
On the wall.
brings up Cybertosin here brings up a good point. Is so the purpose was for conditioning and want people used to the ideas of robots doing normal human things, and I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I think
it's
that's true. Yeah.
It's creepy.
There's
It
no
is.
getting around that. It's going to be a thing in 15, 20 years.
I mean,
It's gonna
they've
be a thing
started
in 5.
implementing. They've started
hate it.
implementing these kinds of machines in hotels and things like that as well now. So, like, you go to the customer desk and it's just a machine that greets you.
I mean, who would have thought that a Roomba was a gateway drug?
There.
And it all began with
Right
a toaster.
Right?
So I want to take a Roomba and like give it the frame, like the brain of the Roomba with the frame of like one of these motive lawn robots, and then teach it to do my garden.
Hmm.
That'd be
That's all.
interesting.
That's all I want. I want it to cut my grass and till my garden while I'm not there, so I can
So
go
you
play.
wanna-
some-
That's how it starts.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly okay
Yes.
with it. I mean, gateway
Squatch?
drug is weeds.
Squatch.
There.
Didn't we learn? Didn't we learn already? Just do the job yourself. It's not worth either acquiring help or making help. It bites you in the ass later. Some people would argue it bites you in the ass like 50 years later.
Okay,
Some
I want to
people
make an
argue
immigrant
100
joke.
years later. Point is, just pick your own cotton. I mean, maintain your own lawn. Sorry.
Hey,
if you grow cotton?
Shadow, you need to pull down your collar. Your race is showing.
Wait, I'm a bird though. I can say what I want.
Birds aren't real.
Herbs
You're right. I'm a
real.
drone. Wait a minute. I'm a robot.
Government psyop.
Shit. Okay, hold on. I'm changing to something. I'm changing to something that's real. This is real.
So, I don't know. Jesus, with the fucking World War I German helmet. Anyway,
Hmm.
Do you expect any less from the kid?
Fine.
no,
I'll
I
do
just
a
think
world-
it's
fine,
dumb.
Fine, I'll do a World War I Russian then. Is this better?
Not really.
No, not really.
Okay, what else do I have to say?
It
do
doesn't
Brian
matter.
Blessed as like the Birdman from Flash Gordon.
I
Alright.
That'd be better.
okay. I know what you're talking about. I don't have that. I'll just go robot.
Okay, well, it's appropriate.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works, and it's appropriate for the conversation. So one of the things that gets me, so the company that's building this particular project, this robot is called Phantom, right? Which is it's like why you would name a robot that? That's not. I mean, it's clearly an assassin droid. Whatever.
Yeah. Obviously ominous.
The company is called Foundation. And for any of you out
I'm
there
not-
who are fans of Isaac Asimov, that is a fucking
Yeah.
problem.
No, sir. I vote we take this over as our personal company immediately. We should own that. I'm talking about a full collectivist takeover. I just turned communist to stop that shit from happening.
Yeah, it's
Not funny? Okay. Apparently, pro-communism jokes are no good.
right.
You can hear a pin drop in here. Everybody was like, wait, did we just lose him?
I mean, it
Yes.
kind of cuts to the problem, though, doesn't it? It's like, what is a solution to this? Do we leave it down purely to private actors who will undoubtedly do whatever it takes to pursue a bottom line and a profit, no matter what its consequences will be? Or do you entrust it to a state authority that will no doubt abuse it in time?
Oh, they're flat out saying it. Here's a quote from the co-founder Mike LeBlanc. We're the opposite. Like they were talking about how Foundation is the only American robotics company building humanoids for national defense. They can't call them humanoids. Humanoids applies to biological organisms. You stupid bullshits.
Mm-hmm.
Android is the term you're looking for, or gynoid if it's got tits. Anyway, they're the only ones doing it because other robotic companies have prohibited weaponization of robots and promise never to use them in military roles. We're the opposite. LeBlanc says, we believe that humanoids, again using the wrong fucking word, are going to be critical to the future of warfare, hence designing robots that are bigger, faster, stronger.
That distinction is the reason I use the term humanophore.
I mean, even Boston Dynamics years ago had a problem with people using their machines for weaponization. But they're funded by DARPA.
Right? It's like you didn't see that coming. What?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They probably honestly didn't. They're probably a bunch of like bleeding heart hippie types who are like, we're just going to make all this science and we're not going to pay attention to the thousands of years of history where, wow, there's this amazing invention, fertilizer. It's great. It lets us grow food faster. I'm sorry, you're doing what with it in the trenches? How many people did the gas kill? Every time there's a scientific development, we, as a species, find a way to turn it into a method of killing people. And the fact that the people involved with it, especially since you're being funded by the defense agency, the defense apparatus, the only explanation is literal functional brain damage, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it was an inevitability when you've got people like that, those kinds of actors behind the scenes, funding what you're making, what you're researching. They'd have to be retarded.
Yeah. Well, it's
not
not
to
even...
see that was what it was for.
Yeah, and it's not even behind the scenes. Like, like a freaking recreationally made drone for a toy being produced. So, like, a little child has like the ability to like fly a little drone around their house.
Yeah.
Right now, we're seeing in Nagorno-Karabakh in 2020, and especially in 2022 to now in Ukraine, autonomous drones. Which the primary difference between the one that we buy a kid for $200 and the one that's being used to take out tanks is basically range and lift power.
Yep.
That, I imagine, didn't have DARPA funding, and yet you could basically take a kiddie drone, modify it slightly, and now you have an ordnance package. You get like 50 of those, you could take out a tank company.
All right, stop talking. Those are war crimes. We are a YouTube channel, and this is YouTube. Queen Bird, you are nefarious.
That's a dark thought, Queen Bird.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't bring it up, but okay, there it is.
So I brought it up.
But are they using the wrong term? Where are those migrant kids? Right? I agree 100%.
I mean,
you want to talk about real war crimes? We need to talk about people confusing sandwiches for burgers.
Dude, come on.
Hold on.
We are not discussing Canadian history tonight. That's next week. Tonight we're talking about...
Hold on. I know Sam hates the government, but the government actually has an answer.
What, hating me back?
Problems?
Like a sensible person would?
So, as defined by the FDA, a sandwich is cheese or bread, or cheese or meat between two breads, and hamburgers are described as sandwich adjacent. So they're adjacent to sandwiches; they're not actually sandwiches.
I tell you what, when the FDA, the FDA is not a legit source, dude. They fucking approve anything if they get enough fucking kickbacks.
Wait, but I thought we were supposed to trust our government.
Not that part of it.
Why do you invite him?
I don't know.
I brought the war to your to your doorstep, Sam. You should have known it was inevitable.
I know. We got our very own British war criminal on the panel today.
Hold on, I'll bite. What's a hot dog?
Legally, it's sandwich adjacent because it's a singular piece of bread. It's not two pieces of bread.
Like a taco.
So say if you spread some fucking like peanut butter on a slice of bread and you fold the bread over. Is that a sandwich or is it not a sandwich?
Technically, that is sandwich adjacent.
I wonder if there's a government regulation that focuses on the sheer amount, no matter how large or small, of bread that connects one half to the other, and that will be what determines it's classified as.
Honestly,
according to the FDA and stuff, and also in UK this came up, things like places like a Subway are not actually serving sandwiches because their breads are so sweet they're considered pastries.
Yeah, and it's all tax code shit. Like fundamentally, the difference between a sandwich and a not sandwich ultimately comes down to how can we tax this better. They don't actually care about the actual definition.
I feel like I need to add some context to this. Abe brings this up because he likes to torture people with this whole thing. The fact of the matter is, everywhere outside of the United States erroneously believes that a chicken sandwich is a chicken burger.
What?
That's where this started.
I had a conversation with a Canadian the other day, and no war crimes took place, unless the chicken burger is a war crime. He defined it this way: a chicken sandwich is a piece of chicken breast between two pieces of bread, whereas a chicken burger is an amalgamation of chicken meat pressed into something resembling a patty, although it may
ground.
Right. It may that's a chicken burger. And I went, oh, Sam's gonna love this.
Well, it's true. It's the same way that you do like tuna fish, right? You got to mix tuna fish up with a little mayonnaise and some other stuff in order for it to hold its cohesiveness. Otherwise, it just falls out of the fucking sandwich, right? You can't really ground chicken and expect it to stay together. It's not that kind of meat, so you have to add a little something into it, like maybe some egg white or whatever. But it doesn't or egg yolk. It doesn't matter. Point is if it's a fucking whole chicken breast, it's not a goddamn burger.
This is the fourth stream since Thursday that I've been on where they were discussing food.
It's all Abe's fault. It's all Abe's fault.
I feel like Loki just walking in on a conversation about morphic fields and artificial intelligence and the future of humanity, and I'm like, sandwiches.
Chicken burger.
It's
I feel like a hot dog is closer related to a burrito than a sandwich.
All right, so I have a question on this topic right here. Taquito.
That's taco adjacent.
I'm gonna find out where you live.
Like a burrito.
I'll actually DM that to you on Twitter.
Cool. But I'm also gonna destroy your server now because you've annoyed me a small amount. No, I'm joking. I messed with it. I lost all my stuff. I'm a little depressed. I haven't been back.
Where are the robots, John Denicola? They're off making fucking sandwiches.
Actually, can I get one of those?
The people are making the burgers.
I mean, my wife's out of town, so I don't have anybody over here making me sandwiches right now.
Dude, there's no AI on Earth in this life or any other that will ever understand the complexities of grilling. I'm sorry. It's not gonna happen.
No,
you got a point there.
That'd be really hard to program.
I do see a feature where two programmed robots are standing there fussing at each other about the quality of charcoal versus propane grilling.
So they could probably figure out the weight of the meat, and then if you had an infrared thermometer where they would be able to use that.
They'll just send a probe out their finger and stick it in your meat.
Imagine two androids.
Your meat. Yeah.
Imagine two androids that are designed to cook meat in that fashion, and they're arguing as to what level of juiciness is appropriate. And then at some point they realize, why are we even arguing? We don't eat.
Well, and then they look to me, their God, as I informed them of what is the best.
But then their other God sitting across from you at this table says that
I will program it in that I will be the only God.
And Squatch will program it in that he's also a God.
I'm not the kind of God that actually cares if I'm recognized as a God or not. You know, I walk in realms where human opinion doesn't matter.
These robots
too cool for school. That's what it is.
Yeah, no. Sam's experience with humanity is he's sitting there on the couch, minding his own business, reading the newspaper, and then like person will scream about there's a human on the ground, and he'll like roll up the
Completely off
newspaper,
base,
he'll
dude.
cry.
No, it's me.
He'll
I throw a brick through the window, jump in, and say, "Sandwich or burger, go."
Off base
In
again.
in that case, you're absolutely getting fucking slapped with the newspaper, the same way we slap flies.
Good and well, he is sitting there with the ant farm in his hands, waiting patiently for enough organization to generate for him to kick it again.
Right. Let's get back to real war crimes.
Right?
Yeah, I know you. I see you.
Actually, I'd like to go back to specifically war crimes. I'd like to go back to Queen Bird's point about what about the children. Has anyone ever played Metal Gear Revengeance?
I played about 10 minutes of it. I found it a little too ADHD for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Well, so there's a plot line in that where you have a character. I think his name was it wasn't Red Typhoon. I'm blanking on it, but his whole thing is basically he runs a abduction ring where he abducts children and then harvests their brains, puts them into like computation engines, and then trains them for warfare. Basically, runs them through simulations until they are incredibly efficient killers. Then just basically takes the hardware and then puts it into a combat platform. And going back to what Queen Bird said. Children are cruel, so I wouldn't be surprised, because all you have to do is just remove the morality from a child and then just convince it that killing is fun and then stick it into a battle frame, and then it'll be able to just go crazy.
Children below a certain age have no grasp of morality.
Let's go down this.
Don't train it in.
Let's go down this thought process for a second, okay? So what you're talking about is integrating wetware into hardware.
Vaguely.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is something that we are on the verge of doing in certain respects, like with prostheses, with pacemakers, with Neuralink, that kind of thing. But we're nowhere near, at least as far as the public is concerned, able to integrate an entire human brain into the thing, unless you talk about the brain organelles, which is not an entire human brain. It's a whole grown thing. They have eyeballs that can see and they can feel pain, but they're not really like whole brain. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It is on occasion. So what you're talking about is just essentially using the wetware, which is more efficient, generally speaking, at transmitting the computational kind of things that would be required to make this thing. They'd just be trying to make a more efficient, a better, a faster robot. They're not necessarily keeping the mind of the brain intact. They're just using essentially the fucking the meat of it.
It's just RoboCop.
Yeah. So the cruelty of the children is totally irrelevant.
In the context of Metal Gear, they specifically pick children because it's easier to train a child to be a killer than it is to be a person. Like, look at the warlords in Africa who just give a kid some speed in an AK-47 and call him a soldier. Those kids are gonna fucking hold down the trigger until the gun's empty or until they're on the ground, versus a person who would be smart enough to realize what the fuck's going on.
Sure. But like I said, if you were to take a brain and you were to integrate it into mechanical hardware, the personality, the tendencies, the cruelty, as you put it, of wherever that brain came from is no longer relevant. It is no longer that person. It's just meat.
It's biological hardware in that sense, isn't it? You know.
All right,
computational organism.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've brought this up before, but I think it's a pertinent discussion to be had. Everyone's talking about the artificial aspect of intelligence, and the meat bag, the organ, the what do they call it? The biological essence or the biological part of these systems. My concern is less so much that as when through the use of these technologies in medicine, we attain the ability to connect in a fetus to an AI and create the AI to interact specifically with the fetus.
Aren't
Lives
they
an
already doing
entire life.
I thought they were already doing that.
They are doing that with cells, but they haven't actually managed to be able to implant a fetus that survives. But that's one of the things that's on the docket of things that they're trying to do. When that takes place, and this AI and fetus develop for an entire lifetime, and then the organic component dies, will there not be a component of that individual left in the matrix, so to speak, as that AI, who essentially thinks the same way that person did?
It would be a simulacrum. It wouldn't be the actual person.
Okay, I'll give you that. But could you not utilize this simulacrum in a functionality as you did the person in life? I mean, would they not have the same desires, drives, stuff like that, or would it just be an imitation of?
I mean, in theory, yeah, but many of the drives of biological life forms would be redundant in a simulated environment.
Right, but there would be no need to, like, if we're just talking about like brainware or whatever, most of those drives are hormonal. Some of those hormones are produced in the brain. Some of them are not.
Yeah.
I imagine it would be quite like. Oh, sorry, Sam.
Well, it's just whatever hormones wouldn't be produced in the brain. Like say in the gonads, for example. None of that would be applicable at all because there wouldn't be any of that attached to said brain, to this new organism, this cyborg, if you will.
So from the sound of it, it would be kind of like a sociopath trying to fit in, where they're not wired the same way as a person. So they may academically understand this is what I'm supposed to do, but doesn't really understand the actual.
Well, you're also assuming conscious thought beyond programming, which we don't know if that would be a thing or not. Like, this is one of the reasons I love the movie RoboCop, is because it actually kind of explores this idea very, very well. The whole reason that they built RoboCop was because, or that they put the go-ahead on that project, was because the ED-209 project was an abject failure on account of programming errors. Right. And so they figured that if they plugged a brain into this thing, they weren't counting on the brain remembering who it was. That was something that wasn't supposed to fucking happen.
Yeah.
But I'm actually driving more towards the concept of the AI being developed to interact with the fetus for the intellectual capacity. Basically, it's a throughput machine rather than a thinking machine, right? Its only purpose is to adapt to whatever the organism is doing to do it more effectively.
Sure.
Or whatever.
Kind of like Stacks from Altered Carbon.
No. Because it wouldn't be artificial intelligence after the fact. It would be alternative intelligence.
Right, like how the stacks actually work, where it's basically it's not like the same person from the body. It's like
it's a copy, not an AI.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was thinking
is it the person though? Because it's a copy of who that person was in their original body, but that original person is gone. It's the same principle as like the transporter conundrum from Star Trek. Like,
I was just thinking.
If you are dematerialized in one place and your pattern is stored and transported to another place where it's rematerialized, is it the same person, or is it a fucking Xerox of the person who was just destroyed?
It is a perfect simulacrum. It is a ship of Theseus. Like it is.
I mean, I suppose as long as it doesn't know the difference, it doesn't matter. But
yeah, well, I mean, it is so interchangeable that. It is so interchangeable that if you don't believe in if you believe that just the body, the mind, the all those functional components are the same, then it doesn't really matter. But if you believe that, hey, now granted, this is me like assuming a soul wouldn't travel with the components, but if you did that disassembly and then the soul leaves and then you reassemble it and the body's still able to function, but the soul's gone, then you just have a meat sack simulacrum missing the soul. Whereas if you don't believe in the soul, then it's basically it doesn't really matter at that point because it's functionally the same person.
Well, if you want to get metaphysical about it,
does pretty well. Did a pretty good job.
If you want to get metaphysical about it, there are some who believe that the soul is responsible for animus, right? Without the soul, it's just a meat sack. It's not even ambulatory.
Right.
This is
And
where
I guess
morphic
that
fields
would be
come
the
in.
deciding factor, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it is a purely metaphysical question at this point, because even if we had that technology right now, as it functioned in Star Trek, there would be no way for us to ask one version of a person whether they died or not, because the person who rematerialized would still have the same memories.
Sure.
They would
Right.
still think the same. They'd be, like you say, an exact copy.
Right.
But
Which is why I said if you don't believe in the soul, then it doesn't really matter at the end point if it's a ship of Theseus or not, because it's not really changing the person. Whereas if you believe that, kind of like going back to
I
the
don't
open
think
carbon
belief factors into it, though.
Actually, there's an easier
I don't
way.
think belief factors into it. Either the soul is a real thing or it's not. Our opinion on the matter doesn't factor in.
But
Yeah.
there's a short circuit here. There's a really easy path from one side to the other. Rather than dematerializing the original, leave it there, right? Because that's really the question we're asking: is the dematerialization process actually murder and not just part of the process? Are you killing something in order to create something elsewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
you absolutely are. You are
if
completely.
you don't destroy, if you don't dematerialize the original, and you still get a copy that thinks it's the original, you might have a little bit of an answer.
Well, I mean,
Clean
you're
break.
still like. Well, because here's the thing, right? Like, let's say for example, I take apart a table, right, and then I reconstruct the table somewhere else. I took the table apart. It is no longer the table; it is the component parts, and then I rebuild the table. You effectively destroyed the table. Now you destroyed it in a way that lets you rebuild it, but you had to destroy the table to begin with.
Are you assuming that
I mean,
the table?
yeah, I think we're all familiar with the ship of Theseus exercise, thought exercise.
Yeah.
But, it's yes and no. I mean, I suppose it depends on over a long enough period of time. The spirit of the table remains, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's functionally still a table.
Well,
Yeah.
but there's a
No matter
difference.
how many times you break it down and rebuild it.
That's a non-analogous ship of Theseus thing. That doesn't fit.
Yeah.
We're not just
Yeah,
rebuilding the
because
ship. In the
tables
case of the
don't
ship of
think.
Theseus, you take apart the ship and replace each piece with an exact copy, but you ship the original piece back to Greece, where they assemble the ship of Theseus while Theseus is still out there sailing on the ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
The table is just being disassembled and reassembled. That's like the Vikings fording a rapid or something. That's a little different.
Well, there was a philosopher, I think, from Japan. I can't remember who it was, who talked about like a sword, right? When a sword is made, it's a made thing. But over time, like parts need to be, the pegs and the handles need to be replaced, or the handle itself does, or the cross guard, or the blade itself, or whatever. But a piece at a time. So at the end, is it the same sword that you started with, or is it a completely new entity? It's the same. It's the same concept.
It's the same analogy. Yeah.
This is my grandfather's axe. I've replaced the handle and the head, but it's still a damn good axe.
I love those books. I know exactly which books you're referencing. I love those books.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that to kind of touch back on the original part of the topic here, I think that we're getting to a point where we're going to have to start asking these questions, though, as a society. If we progress too much further down the I guess AI learning curve, if we progress too much further down this thing with robotics, if robotics become part of daily life, like true robotics, like android robotics, humanoid, if you will, if to use the fucking word that I don't like for that. If this is going to be where we are, right, we're going to have to start asking these fucking questions. And as I said last night, unless it can definitively prove to me it has a soul, it's just a fucking toaster, and I'm not going to be considerate of its feelings.
Yeah.
We can't program feelings.
This is where I would disagree, because if something functionally thinks and acts like something that you believe has a soul, if you believe in that kind
Like
of
data.
thing, yeah. Was it The Measure of a Man? Was that the episode?
Yes.
In
Yes, it is.
TNG? Yeah. I mean, would you call Data at that point a living being?
I mean, I classify Legion, which is a significantly less sophisticated system, a person by the end of Mass Effect 3. So I kind of have to agree that Data is a person.
Yeah.
But
And
we
again,
are capable of programming actual emotions and these AIs picking up on context.
Sure. Yeah.
So therefore,
That
they're just a dumb machine. They don't have anything. They're not feeling anything.
But that
Yeah.
is the essential point of the difference between artificial intelligence and alternative intelligence, is that this artificial intelligence, if you will, has lived a human life, has experienced human emotions. It might have been vicariously through a meat bag, but it was programmed through experience rather than being programmed by some nerd over in Silicon Valley who has never experienced an emotion other than disappointment to his parents.
See, that does
So-
raise. Sorry.
Just real quick, Yon God, that is in fact my assignment, and you will love it, as I do, on pain of death. No, I forgot to say this at the top of the show. This is the show where we talk about whatever the hell we feel like, and by we I mean me. So yes, for the ride, here we are.
I am very glad that you made that delineation, because this man does not let me discuss the 7th Panzer Army's march into Leningrad, and it very,
Shut the fuck
very
up.
much disappoints me.
No, but Sasquatch, I think that is a very interesting distinction. In
Right.
that, yeah, having something like an LLM, for example, like something that is just an input-output machine, it might seem as though it's intelligent, but we know that it isn't, because we know that it's programmed based on input and output, yada yada. Whereas a machine that can learn and grow and adapt and think, that is something, you know, an alternative intelligence, that it's much harder to say that this is just a machine.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be very difficult to identify those, like, more because I view AI I view a lot of AI in the inverse of animals, where an animal is incapable of rationality, but they are perfectly capable of instinct. In the case of an AI, it is purely rational, but it lacks instinct.
Yeah.
There's probably better definitions for those, but I am not Aristotle. I would not be able to define
Yeah, I'm
those.
gonna have to think on that one a
So-
little bit. That's pretty good, though.
I think that's a good example, because it's almost like with the kind of technologies we're developing now, it's like we're working on evolution backwards.
Sorta. I mean, these are the building blocks of the future that will be. So
Yeah.
we're looking at cutting edge technologies that are probably 15 years behind whatever's actually happening at DARPA, and trying to extrapolate the kind of things that are actually taking place currently. We're not trying to look at the future here. Really, not really, right? We're trying to see what they're doing currently, perhaps.
Poor gal.
Yeah.
She's been kidnapped.
Blink twice.
I'm just here to look pretty.
I mean, honestly, we could just have the conversation and just, like, you know, have her up on there like that all the time, you know, because they can still hear us.
Also, Devil, Gal's not kidnapped, but there's a litter of kittens sitting in Sam's basement currently.
What? No, that they're you forgot the most important part. They've already been put through the sausage grinder.
I didn't think we were telling her that part.
That's the
Damn it,
dry
Sam.
process.
Why else would I have kittens? I'm gonna eat them.
All
Sam.
cats are beautiful.
Would
All
you like
cats are
me to
bastards.
just continuously use all of my bookmarked animal posts for the next, like, every hour on the hour, tag you in them?
Are you going to schedule them out?
I will block you off the face of the earth.
Then don't threaten to grind up kitty cats.
I didn't threaten it. I did it.
Huh?
Did you just put him in the naughty corner?
Yes, she
Holy
just booted me off my own show.
Unlimited power.
So that's what Jeremy feels like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see Carrie in there?
No,
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
Cat sausage in a bun. Is not a sandwich either.
I we've established this. It's sandwich adjacent as defined by the FDA.
Yeah,
It's hardly
I think we
meat
can
either.
collectively
It's mostly
agree on that one.
sinews,
But,
Yeah.
just a cat in between any bread is not food at all.
Wait, but aren't cats capable of being bred?
Hold
Like
on.
they like loaf up?
Yes, they are.
So would a
What
cat
about
in
a
between
pasty?
two cats be a sandwich?
No. What about a pasty? It's more of a pocket.
Yeah, a pasty is more of a pastry.
Okay.
It's a pasty pastry.
It's like a burrito.
The fuck is a pasty?
British
Apparently a
thing.
British thing.
Is it British or Middle Eastern?
I don't know.
Yes.
What's the difference at this point?
I mean, these days, it's kind of hard to tell.
Cornish pasties are delightful.
Like, I'm starting to think that curry was invented in Liverpool. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, tikka masala was invented in Scotland.
Oh, it's just a calzone looking thing.
I'm just curious. It's so. I mean, if curry is so English, how do you boil it? I mean, how can it be spicy in English? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you took over the entire world for spices, but didn't decide to use any of them. Just sold them like dope.
Actually, no,
surprised.
Squatch, that is a little bit of a lie. So they were using all the spices, and then a certain party that we can't talk about on YouTube forced rations upon the British people. And so they basically invented things like beans on toast, because that's all they had to eat. And unlike the Americans, who managed to shake off our wartime ration diet, the British, for some reason, decided that their wartime rations were superior to their pre-wartime ration food, and have made that their primary cuisine. That is the only reason why things like beans on toast still exist.
Bro.
For those who didn't get the total subtlety of Shadow's ban evasion there, he's talking about the Nazi blitzkrieg.
Yes.
Wait, I can talk about the Nazis now?
We know.
I have never had a problem with the word Nazi. YouTube has a problem with the word Nazi. I don't want you talking about it because you're on their side.
Yeah, you keep cheering
on this side.
Raw, and I hear that's the problem.
The only reason that Americans were able to shake it off so easily is because we were in and out within a span of months, while they were doing it for years because they couldn't figure it out for themselves. And we had
No,
to save
that's
their
mainly
asses.
because you were still trading with Germany by 1942.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hold
You
on.
missed
You're
another
welcome. Would be speaking German without us.
No.
The issue is that it's an island.
French.
And you can camp out
That
like
too.
5,000 of those islands on just the continental United States. And that is why we came out of our wartime footing. We had
Also,
the resources, the manpower, and the ability to just grow our way out of it.
Yeah, the
Also,
United
Abe,
States just had more resources. That's it.
Exactly.
Also, Abe, I'm gonna kind of fact check you. At least by 1941, we were not trading with Germany, because in 1941 they had to found Fanta because we stopped giving them Coca-Cola.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah. So remember, folks, when you are unable to acquire Coca-Cola, do like the Nazis do and invent Fanta.
Yeah, or if you're unable to
Is that why Fanta tastes so good?
Improve on a previously shitty recipe, you could do like the Chinese do and co-opt the original fucking factories for Heineken and turn it into Qingdao.
Yep.
And
Just throw some
by the
bats in
way,
there, it's
the
fine.
worst beer on earth.
Yes, Devil. That is absolutely what I'm implying.
Good to see you. By the way, regular phone has joined the chat. This is different from apparently or formerly known as Bud Phone.
Okay, well, glad to see your transition went well, I suppose.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good for you. I don't know, maybe just pull the phone out It's no longer in the butt.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to figure none of that out.
The phone has answered the age-old question of to sodomize or not to sodomize, and has decided it is in fact to not sodomize.
Well,
it
it
upgraded from
depends.
being a Backstreet Boy.
It depends. Are you in ancient Greece or not? Or just
Well, that
Greece?
involves children typically, so let's not go down that line of talking.
I put my
What's up, Jay? There's something wrong with these people.
Yeah. There's a laundry list of defects.
Yes. Poor gal having to rock herself.
Welcome in, people coming in.
I'm cold. That's all.
Oh, I thought you were like comforting yourself because of how horrifying the conversation was.
No, that's
No,
because she's so close to Sam.
I'm sure it's going to get worse.
Usually it does. Right. Very usually.
That checks out.
Indeed. So, I suppose that's a good way to. Well, it's not. It's a terrible fucking segue. I'm just saying it because I want to segue now.
It pleases me.
Is to move into the whole morphic resonance thing, which I've been reading a little bit about. Now, this first came to my attention whilst reading the novels of Terry Pratchett. Right. And the way he describes it is not exactly like what they're talking about when they talk about the actual theory of morphic resonance, which I agree, Yon God, is kind of silly, but it's fun to talk about.
Morphic resonance.
Essentially, it's the idea that all living things sort of share a collective memory.
The hive mind.
Right? So, like, if you teach a rat at Harvard to run a maze really fast, right? Rats on the other side of the planet in, say, Melbourne, for example, will be able to not only duplicate that, but duplicate it in a superior fashion.
Gotcha.
Right,
See,
because they're somehow informed through like the morphic field of their species. Like,
that's really interesting. Like, I would have, if it was purely genetic, I would absolutely believe that, because there are certain things that like we as humans intrinsically like
similar to genetic memory, but applies to beings that are already alive.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, that sounds a little. Maybe I'm just not like. Maybe I just haven't done enough hallucinogenics yet to really like lock into that wavelength yet.
You gotta be on that else, man.
Well,
on a journey.
How many times? Go on.
Yeah. Given the general, like the more or less similar opinion most human cultures have about snakes, of either revere them or be batshit terrified of them, and general either fear of water or flood myths, I absolutely believe that there is some kind of like genetic coding involving those two things. And then whether or not there's a hive mind going on, I doubt the application of a hive mind, given that like one part of like the, and maybe it's because we're more rational, we're not tapped into our instincts, so we're unable to do it as effectively. But if that was the case, when the Chinese figured out, hey, carbon makes better swords, then the Romans wouldn't have been fighting the damn Parthians with iron and getting their shields taken out by steel-tipped arrows.
We could argue about how that took place later.
Absolutely. And
The
Sam's going to be
Japanese
very
had
mad at me.
superior steel because of the source of their steel, and later deduced from the lack of carbon in other people's stuff that the carbon must be what makes ours better.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is if the Romans had Saxony, they wouldn't have failed. Saxony had large deposits of very good
Oh, you ever fought an English dude?
What was it?
Never mind.
Because Sam gets mad at me whenever I bring up the Roman Empire, how about the British showing up against the Zulus? You would think the Zulus would have at least muzzle
They
bores
weren't
by
the
now.
peak of human civilization, man. We were. That's why I get pissy about it. We, and by were, I mean were. Like it peaked and ended in the 90s. But
Yeah.
But yeah, now the Romans, and furthermore, most of the things that everybody thinks of as great accomplishments of the Roman Empire were accomplished before the fucking Christians took over by butt fucking pagans.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, child fucking pagans specifically.
Where do you think they were fucking those kids? In the butt.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Poor gal.
So
Anyhow,
like,
enough of the
I'm
Romans.
by the twist the conversation has turned, and I wish to disavow any association with anyone who's ever heard anything that just came out of that man's mouth.
Oh, mine. He's talking about me.
I was agreeing with this one, though, by the way.
Oh, shit. The world's ending, y'all. We've got 20 seconds or so. She agreed with me.
Yeah, you're going to start hearing the trumpets in the sky now.
I didn't say I was in favor of it. I just said that's what happened.
Yeah, but you said the rah boys going.
Still wrong, just for talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Agreed.
My sensibility, Sam.
If we talk about the Japanese samurai doing it, is that more acceptable because it's Japan?
No,
yeah, they're savages.
You're a weeb, and that arouses you. I will not discuss it.
I'm not a weeb. Gal's a weeb. I'm not a weeb.
Okay, so if it'll arouse now, you can discuss it.
Hides my Berserk manga and my Goblin Slayer manga. Hides those away.
Yeah. Save Power Rangers too, because they're cool.
Those got Americanized. Disney bought those for a bit. That's American.
Oh yeah.
That's just like all those NASA scientists that we stole from Germany. That's as American as apple pie.
So does that?
Yeah, American Pie, which is British.
Where you hear this stuff behind me? Can y'all hear the growling and stuff in here with me?
No, I can't.
No.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Directional
I have a 7-pound bulldog trying to overpower a 120-pound mastiff. And it's not going well. They're pulling on the same toy, and every now and then the mastiff shakes, and it's like he just whips that puppy against the floor about 3 times.
That is amazing. I need a video of that at some point. That's gorgeous. That's beautiful.
But the mastiff is scared of cameras.
Aw, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Put a GoPro on the mastiff. It won't know.
A GoPro?
GoPro.
Professionally grow it. More wrinkles.
Camera shy stiffy.
Oh man. Anyway, back to the topic. This homomorphic resonance things, like species sharing information without ever actually, just by being members of the same species, kind of thing. And not even just that. I think there's a certain argument that the guy who came up with a lot of the stuff that's generally associated with this is a dude named Rupert Sheldrake. I actually quoted him in the description below as well. And he talks about how laws of nature aren't laws so much as they are habits, which is kind of an interesting idea.
I mean, yeah, that's absolutely true. Because a law is like codified and it's, like written down. There's, like you clearly pointed out, and the deliberation that involved in its creation. Whereas what happens in nature is basically just what kind of goes on. It's not official. It's just what's going on. And then if you introduce a new variable, things change and settle down and become the new habits.
Sure. Now, I would argue that there are probably some hard lines in those habits that should never be crossed. For example, I do believe in laws of nature. I believe that human beings should never try to mate with like a lamprey, for example, and cross species, like that kind of thing. I think that's definitely a hard fucking line.
Well, is that because of Stargate Atlantis or personal experience?
Have you ever seen a lamprey, dude?
Yes, I have. Is that because of Stargate Atlantis, or is that personal experience?
No, it's because fucking lampreys.
They're terrifying.
Personal experience, then. Okay, he's not scared of the wraith. He's had a bad experience with lampreys. Good to know.
Just way too many.
Wraiths aren't a thing. That's just a TV show, dude. Lampreys are very real.
Well, see, if you had a human lamprey crossbreed, it would probably function very much like the wraith.
They actually did something similar to that in a show that you still haven't watched called The X-Files with Planarian Man.
Okay, I haven't done
Be gone, mortal.
Go watch X-Files.
Did he kick himself or did Gal kick him this time?
I didn't kick him.
I
thought
did
you
it.
did.
I ran
Oh,
away.
yeah.
Al
down
did.
his
He was
back.
so disapproving.
She's very mad at me. She's also going to be even more mad when she finds out that I've been watching stuff like Mad Max instead of watching X-Files.
That's because
Did
you
you
have a
watch
limited
Furiosa?
mind. Grow, son, grow.
Fury Road, then Furiosa. Just because I knew that
But
was
you
on
did
Netflix.
watch Furiosa?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I sacrificed a couple. Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yep.
The way of the liger.
I'll wait till she decides to bring it back up.
Dude, you know, liger doesn't have a growth limiting hormone genetics. You know, it just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
That's America's new theme song. Is the way of the liger, because we're all fat as
You
I
watched
need to write it.
Furiosa over the
I
X
gotta
Files.
text Captain Curmudgeon. I need to write the eye of the
Yes.
liger.
But anyway, morphic fields.
Yes.
Yes, Morphic Fields.
I think that it is an interesting way of tying it into what we're starting to understand about the quantum world as well. You know, how many
You mentioned
times
this last night, yeah.
Yeah. How many times, for example, have you thought about somebody and then you've gone to pick up your phone and they've called you at the same time? Or they've sent you a message because you were thinking of each other at the same time. Now,
Or
that's
you
the kind
get a
of
bad
thing.
feeling and then you get a call about something bad happening to somebody that you're just thinking
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, that happens with an alarming level of frequency that I think it'd be disingenuous to say that it was entirely coincidental. I mean, it could be. You know,
Well,
when you live in a reality of theoretically infinite possibilities, maybe it's not just coincidence.
Yeah.
So, Abe,
Same thing with music.
one of the things that we get into on this channel is metaphysics. We do talk about faith. We do talk about beliefs and all that stuff because I think that actually has a place in the world that science denies exists. I don't think that. I think that both have their place, both are part of things, and we need to be looking at, the whole picture rather than not. And I think that that morphic resonance, if there is such a thing, I'm not sure that this is scientifically quantifiable. I think that that it might be like on the other side of that line, in a more metaphysical sense.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating that somebody out there is trying to quantify it, as something like that. And who knows? Maybe down the road they'll succeed. Who knows? Maybe all magic was all science was once magic. You know what I mean? But it's kind of one of those things, like we don't know, like there is there some kind of connection? Is it something that we can quantify, that we can track through like quantum entanglement, or is it something that's purely spiritual in nature that we can't measure,
Or that we cannot measure yet? Because we are trying to do so with material technology, and we would have to learn some way beyond our material understanding to measure it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could even be.
Or on the inverse, is it kind of getting a little bit into... they didn't... Okay, Warhammer didn't steal this from Dune. I'm trying to remember who they stole it from, but like the concept of the warp, where it's basically just pure chaos, unbridled emotion, where you cannot understand it, you can just withstand it.
They stole that from hell.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, then they stole it from hell.
I mean, it could just be that the material structures that we're composed of limit our ability to conceptualize and understand things in ways that we experience but can perhaps never understand.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't know, maybe we can at some point understand it. We're just not there yet. I mean, you think about those islanders who prayed every day to the great metal bird from the sky when a plane crashed, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to figure out that it's just a vehicle.
Or what about that remote? It may have been like a Pacific Islander tribe or something like that, who revered Prince Philip as a deity. So they've got pictures of a British monarch everywhere.
Yep.
And they worshipped him like a god.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we were calling him a wanker all day.
Count
sounds like a
Dankula did a video on that.
That sounds like communism, though, doesn't it? Like putting up pictures of like a supreme leader and like treating them like a god while everyone else knows they're a fucking
but to them, he was a divine being.
And to the Chinese, Mao was a divine being.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe these people are communists rather than tribals.
I think Mao was a divine being to the Chinese because if they didn't say that, they would get shot. But
yeah,
or beaten to death.
That was less of a hard line belief and more of a okay, sir, I'll say what you want.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah. So, it's like saying people in North Korea really truly believe that Kim Jong Il or Un or whoever the fuck it is these days has no asshole and does not shit because he divinely just absorbs all the nutrients.
Yeah,
that's a thing they actually say. By the way, I'm not making that up.
Yeah, and also, the first time he ever played golf, he did a perfect game. Got a hole-in-one on every hole.
Me too.
Were they monsters?
They actually tell people that. And the thing is, some people probably do believe it.
Yeah. That's Daddy Kim. I don't know. Their names are like a couple of letters apart, and they kind of look the same to me. Squat
Kim
little.
Jong Il.
Yeah, it was Kim Il Sung and Kim Jong.
Is the current one.
Yeah, I should clarify. I don't mean that all Koreans look the same to me. I mean that those Korean men in that family all kind of look the same to me.
The men of that very specific family do look very similar.
Yes,
almost like clones.
See, Sam, you're a lot braver. You're a lot braver than me because if I walked up to two dudes who I knew they were twins, if they were of a race other than myself, I would not say they look the same because I'd be pelted with stones. You are a lot braver than me, sir.
Yeah. Well, speaking of twins, actually, that's true. Speaking of, they eat my fucking people. I'm not going to pull punches with them.
Dogs?
No, Koreans.
I used to work with a guy.
You said they eat my people.
I used to work with a guy years ago who was East Asian, and he had like a classically Chinese name, but it was kind of complicated to, the Western way of speaking. So a lot of the time he wouldn't even bother to introduce himself by his actual birth name, and he'd just say, well, if you can't remember my name, just call me Bruce. And so eventually people just forgot what his actual name was and just started calling him Bruce all the time. It wasn't his name.
He probably didn't care.
Right.
No, he didn't. But that's also quite a common thing for people from East Asia as well to adopt Western names when they come over.
Well, particularly in places like Hong Kong, which were under direct British rule for a long time, a lot of those guys were born with two names. Like they were given a traditional Chinese name, and then they were given an English name.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like on their birth certificates or whatever, they would actually have two different names, kind of thing. But you bring up an interesting point there, Shadow, about twins, tying this back to the morphic resonance thing. We know that twins have a sense about each other because they, especially identical twins, because they ended up coming from the same egg, I believe. Fraternal twins shared womb experience, but they're actually like separate beings who got birthed at the same time, kind of deal. But but twins seem to have, to anybody who spent any real time around twins, they seem to have a kind of sixth sense about each other, right? We talk about people who are really, into each other, finishing each other's sentences. No, these motherfuckers actually finish each other's thoughts, right?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Dr. Mengele earlier, because the Nazis actually did extensive tests on twins.
Oh, yeah.
To see what exactly the links between them were, and if they were metaphysical, mental, whatever they could have been.
Right. And that tied into some other things that the Nazis were doing. It's a fun fact. Although Hellboy gets all of the details wrong, the Thule Society was a very real branch of the SS.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wasn't it like a case of they felt like part of the failures of Germany was tied to Christianity, and so they wished to return. They were trying to rediscover the old like pagan traditions and stuff
I
like
mean,
that. In the old
that's the line they sold people on the pamphlets, sure, but no, all it really was they were looking for any possible edge they could find.
Oh yeah, same thing we did with I think
purposes.
wasn't it Operation Paperclip, where we basically discovered the spirit world and used it to spy on the Soviets.
That's not Operation Paperclip, dude.
It's not Operation Paper.
Okay,
Operation Paperclip gave us NASA.
Okay,
Among
so then
other
I got
things.
something very okay. I'm thinking of something very different, but like basically rounding up a bunch of psychically gifted people, drugging them to the gills, and then using them in the spirit world to spy
Yeah,
on
the
Soviets.
Minister.
That's what I'm talking-
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Whatever operation that was, what was
Vintage
declassified in, I
Eric
think,
Gage.
08, if I remember right.
Well, both the American and Soviet
Yeah, no, they
governments
were
subsequently
trying to
developed
make
their own
psychic
versions of
assassins.
those programs. Yeah.
Mhm.
It mostly
Yeah.
focused around remote viewing, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young God, I'm not prepared to agree with you on that. I've met people who seem very much like they're in tune with something that I am not. On top of that, I have not met every being in the universe, so I can't definitively make that statement.
Or are they just
They
sort of
all
in a?
suck.
Are they just politely saying a psychically gifted person is the PC term of saying somebody that's retarded?
Look, man. We know that certain
Because if that's the
certain kinds
case,
of
I'm
autists-
extremely psychically gifted.
Look, certain kinds of autists are, like how much time have you spent around like fucking civil engineers, right? Or not civil engineers, but
Yeah.
engineers, right?
Yeah.
Engineers are not like the rest of us. They do not operate on the same level that we do, right? They see things in terms of other dimensions and all that, which is part of the reason that a lot of them are so socially awkward, because they can't relate to us. But
Yeah. Well, if you factor in things like synesthesia and savantism, which are both very real phenomenons, yeah, whether you refer to it as like psychically gifted or just mentally unusual or whatever, that is a very, very real thing. So why couldn't it be within the realms of possibility that it applies in other ways too?
Well, I think to Zillage's point here is like he agrees with Jan. Have a hard time buying psychic people. Still, I'm open to the idea. So I think that things like outright telepathy are probably, if it exists at all, is probably extremely rare.
Yeah.
Right. I would also think that people who actually would display things like that, most of the time would end up, at least before they closed all of them, in asylums.
Yeah.
Or
You know-
they would be identified by the totalitarian state apparatus that we possess and then spirited away to be utilized for stuff.
Yep.
It's most likely they'd end up broken people in asylums, though. If you're assume that telepathy is a real thing. Assume for a second that it is a real thing. If your
probably
brain is suddenly a receiver for every thought in a 10 fucking mile radius.
Yeah.
All the time, constantly, no filters, no turning it off, no breaks, no sleep, no
Have you been
nothing.
in my head? Get out of my head.
Right. So if you are in a position where that's a thing for you, and you don't learn to filter it out, to mute it, to shut it off, to do whatever you can do. I mean, I honestly, I think probably anybody who had that particular problem would self-medicate into oblivion or end up in a goddamn crazy bin.
Yeah.
And see, I'm in agreement with Sam that this stuff does exist, whether or not it's like super common or not. It's up in the air, but we have these stories of, let's call it magic, like throughout human history. There has to be some basis to it. Now, in some cases, it could just be the story got told so many times that certain details were lost, but in other cases, there's got to be something else going on.
And so basically you're saying it's that scene from Family Guy where they're talking about Jesus and his abilities may have been somewhat exaggerated.
Somewhat exaggerated. Yeah.
Well, in the case of him, no, but in the case of other individuals, sure.
Yeah. He's just like, now turn around. Just turn around for a second.
That was the South
And he
Park
pulls
bit.
out
I
all
know
the
what
bread
you're
and
talking about.
fish.
Now, see, that actually is magic, because from that like little bag, he manages to pull out like a fuck ton of fish and bird.
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, no. So like,
Actually,
he's
the
still
irony
magic.
the irony to me is the idea that a group of fishermen fed people with loaves and fishes, and it was considered a miracle.
Yeah.
Well, he was a carpenter, so that's the impressive part.
I mean,
But he
that's
hung
That's what you need to build a ship, bro.
So I was just going to say no. He was British, and that's how we've subsisted for thousands of years.
Yeah, the Pope may be French, but Jesus is English.
You know, all of this
Bread
is
and
fun
fish, you're
games.
good.
All of this is fun and games until Jesus comes back and hits you with a rock. He did say, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." You should
There
duck.
you go.
We already
Mhm.
know he likes whipping people who are naughty, so that came out a lot worse than I intended it to.
It came out
Mhm.
exactly how you intended it. Don't lie.
What is the intention, really?
But like, let's talk about that for a second. Like, there are a lot of people today who would dismiss the possibility of any kind of psychic phenomenon, any kind of ESP, any kind of like, as Jan got saying, like remote viewing and telepathy and that sort of thing, telekinesis. Any of this stuff, even just like a sixth sense that warns you of danger like the second beforehand, like a spidey sense kind of thing. There are people who would dismiss that out of hand, but who believe wholeheartedly that Moses threw down his staff, it turned into a snake, and it ate the other two fucking snakes.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that didn't happen, but I'm saying that if you can believe that, why is this such a hard leap? You know?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think as well, like, it's perfectly reasonable to assume a lot of people that claim they've got certain powers or abilities or whatever probably are charlatans. They're probably out just to make, a quick dollar here and there. But that doesn't preclude the possibility that those abilities actually exist somewhere in someone.
So, I have a bit of a theory on that, and it's a hypothesis, whatever, man. Like, I can hear you groaning in your sleep. Listen.
Yeah.
Y'all
and like Zillage is saying here, well, my point, psychics said Donald Trump was to die before he became president, but I know that's a handful of crazy. So here's the thing. A lot of those guys aren't crazy. They're shills. They're grifters, because they also know that there are people out there who are more than willing to swallow things like this hook, line, and sinker without thinking about it, and they prey on those kinds of people. Like there's a town in I forget which state it's in, but anyway, it's chock full of people who are professional psychics, like spoon benders and mind readers and that sort of thing. Almost every one of the, like, if you went through that town person by person for the last 100 years, right? I promise that you'd probably find maybe, if anything, one or two people in that entire time who had a modicum of real talent. Those are all showmen. They're all shills.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that, though? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to quote a TV show, if I could actually see the future or talk to the dead, do you think I'd be stuck in this freaking motel?
Well, exactly, yeah.
I'd be in fucking Hollywood.
It's worth noting that, like, Trump almost did die by, a fraction of an inch?
Yeah, it was a near thing.
Hey, I don't claim to be a Green Power Ranger devil. I am one. Deal with it.
That's a claim.
That is an interesting distinction, sir. Self-identification versus others identifying you.
I mean, it's really the only distinction, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I won't be here to debate that.
You don't get to identify yourself. Other people identify you to other people. When you meet someone, you meet them, you talk, you do a first impression thing, and then later you're like, hey, how about this Mark guy over here? What's up with him? And they're like, oh, well, he's ... insert insults here. That you don't really identify yourself. You're just fooling yourself that you do, and then trying to insist that other people out there abide by your delusion. And I'm not playing that game.
See,
Very,
I would
basic
walk into a
small
room and people would just go, "Oh fuck, it's the guy who talks about sandwiches and burgers again." Shit.
Before conversation starts again, I'm being called away, so I gotta go.
Be gone,
Sorry
Egg.
to interrupt. Oh, well, if you
Sure
mean it
as
like
shit,
that,
kid.
maybe I won't come back. Meh.
No.
Okay.
Meh.
No one loves you like I do.
So show your shit, kid.
Howdy, everyone. I'm the Shadow of the Hawk. If you want to see more of my schizo rants and my schizo posting, check me out on Twitter, Shadow of Hawk 55. Also, Mondays, 8 p.m. U.S. Central Time, I do a D&D stream with a bunch of great people. We are, next week, getting into the end game. They have managed to crawl their way through the dungeon, and they're about to confront the boss. Or die horribly, screaming, agonizingly. Which should be it should be entertaining either way. I do hope some people do tune in, because we've been having a lot of fun with that stream. And then I have been busy with school and work, but I do hope to be getting other streams and video content out when I can.
I've got a question for you.
I can't.
Are there any
why are we
chicks in
whispering?
that D&D group of yours?
There are 2 women, yes.
Hey, there's a chance still.
Both are married.
I mean, these days that doesn't mean much.
I do not like this conversation. So
Do you
I'm
want to
gonna
be
be
the
leaving.
bull or the cuck? That's the question.
I want to be neither. I want to be neither because my religion
Those are your
says
options.
both are bad. No, I
Those
refuse.
are your
I choose. I do not.
Which way,
march-
Western
actually,
man?
I do not march. I do not march in step to the whims of a tentacled eldritch horror. I mark in step to a different.
Hey, it's not me telling you you have
This
to do
is
this.
an
It's
illusion of choice, sir. The question actually is whether or not you want to know you're a cuck.
society. Right.
Do I? Because that would come with like 99 years in a Georgian prison cell, or not Georgian. Prison farm in Georgia. So what I want to know that I'm a cuck and do the time. I don't know. I'll think about that. Have a good night, y'all.
Thanks for
Later.
coming.
Peace out, Egg.
See you again.
Kid. Guys are kicking the pants. Oh, he should. He should. Oh, look, cat butt. It's a cat ass trophy.
Huh? What?
Oh no, do not show the cat ass trophy. It will cause problems.
I knew somebody'd get the reference.
Yeah, the 2
Why is it
old men
always
on the
me?
panel.
No, the two guys who've read more than a handful of books on the panel.
I've
You
read
can
way more
read?
than a handful of
That's
books.
that's
bitch.
unfair.
You're old.
I don't know that about
Your
static.
picture books don't count, madam.
I've read a picture book before.
Was it nice?
Proud of you, Abe. You've done well. Good job, little baby.
Colors?
It was good. It was colorful.
Nice.
I don't know what reading is.
So, to kind of tie it back a little bit to the earlier topic, I'm curious as to, so like when we talk morphic resonance, we're basically talking about sharing information between two like things across a distance of space without actually interacting with each other, right? What does that sound like to you? That sounds like two computers and the internet.
Yeah.
Right. So if we know the internet is a thing, if we know that that's a thing for technological marvels, why wouldn't there be some kind of biological or metaphysical equivalent?
And do you know what it sounds like? Quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what it would be.
So in a cell, there are a whole bunch of different organelles, and mixed in with these organelles are strangely shaped bits of protoplasm that are distinguishable under like stain, and yet form and disappear by no apparent mathematical progression, right? There's always one or two in every cell, and they're always either forming or disappearing, kind of not really in sync with one another, but in what seems to be a chaotic manner, but at the same time has sort of a cyclical progression. And one of the best theories I've ever heard about what these are is a quantum entanglement from other, like the, oh God, it's so hard to explain. It's basically the way by which the resonance frequency transmits from one creature to another is through these quantumly entangled tidbits inside the cells. And so there's no need for conscious thought for these things to be utilized. It's just part of the program.
Yeah.
Sure. BTK brings up an interesting point. Now, quantum entanglement is in theory, it is currently in vogue right now. And it may not be for forever. Who knows?
I mean, it's in vogue because it's the most cutting edge aspect of scientific discovery.
Sure, but they also said that about the origin of species.
Yeah. And
which it wasn't. It was just an idea that he wrote down in a book, and he later regretted that it was taken as seriously as it was.
Yeah, well, that's because it conflicted principally with his religious ideas.
Very much, yes.
It didn't make him wrong. It just meant that fundamentally the theory wasn't completely whole.
He was merely upset that his physical observations overpowered his religious doctrination.
Yeah.
That was his problem. And ask him how he felt about barnacles.
Yeah. So even though we're at a stage now in which we're actually starting to make inroads, Neuralink will be a part of this conversation because that will be a way of effectively, through technology, creating a kind of morphic field.
So, sort of artificially reproducing it.
Yeah. Yeah, but fundamentally, we are talking about cutting-edge developments here. So, we're like at the baby stage of our understanding of this. Like, the famous quote about the quantum world is that if you think you understand it, you don't understand it. That's how new we are in this field. So all we're left with really are basically philosophical questions until our technological understanding of them can catch up.
Yeah. Sort of a practical application almost of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know it wasn't Elon Musk who was the first to say this, but this is one of the rare occasions in which I will say that on this he was 100% right. Is that with the development of quantum computing and our increasing ability to simulate reality as we think we know it, then the greater the chance that we live in a simulated reality ourselves. So it's all kind of circular.
Sure.
Well,
Gal. Hi.
Hi.
Are you you doing okay over there? Your blanket?
Yup. I already told you I'm just here to look pretty. This conversation has nothing to do with me. It is way above my not really pay grade. I'm not paid. Really?
Not paid grade.
Could you not choke while I'm just speaking? You do this to yourself, dude. So I have a cat that likes to choke himself by just laying his head over an edge of anything. Kinky. So
pussy does like to be choked.
So
confirmed.
I can neither confirm nor deny. So he's sitting on top of my tower, hanging his head over my monitor. That's what he kind of does when I stream. And so that's what that sound was him choking himself. But yeah.
Need some mushrooms to explore this topic. There was something that Maynard Keenan of Tool once said in an interview with, I think, Rolling Stone, and I'm going to butcher this, so it's not a direct quote or whatever, but he was talking about how the the idea with the drugs and the rock and roll isn't so much that you want to, you want to chase a high. It's that you want to have that really good high one time, and then you want to spend the next 10 years trying to replicate it without the drug.
Yeah. And if you've ever seen a Tool music video, you can definitely understand that's what they were going for.
I don't think he stayed off DMT. I think he kept using that shit.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
but,
why
yeah.
would you stop?
Right?
Machine
So,
elves.
the machine elves
Yeah.
clearly directed some of those videos. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm pretty sure some of them are stars of them.
Yeah. Oh, but Maynard is a Freemason. I don't know. He might be. Yeah, it's possible. Well, we've had Masons on the channel here on occasion too. We had Corn Nemec is a Freemason. He was on the channel a couple of years ago. Interesting guy. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think that a lot of your average Freemasons probably aren't into more than surface level secret society shit, but there are some. Yeah, you probably should. Well, that's the problem with secret societies. You never really know who's on the level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got a buddy who got into that stuff a couple years ago.
Skull and Bones.
Just the Freemasons for now. Who knows where it goes?
Yeah, that's like the gateway drug of the tinfoil hat crew.
Right. Well, the theory is that the Illuminati is a secret organization within the top cream of the crop members of the Freemasons, right?
Yep.
That even the other regular run of the mill Freemasons, like below 33rd degree, don't have any idea who these fucking people are.
Yeah, the Freemasons is, like Sasquatch said, the gateway drug to the Illuminati.
Yeah. Yeah, but you had to suck some serious dick to get in with those guys. But the theory is again that they run the world. And if you go even deeper than that, there's another theory that Israel runs the Illuminati. But anyway,
Oh,
I don't necessarily believe that.
Did we get Shadow back for a second then? What happened?
No. I don't believe that. And again, I got to make myself perfectly fucking clear on this. Just because I disagree with the Israeli government and their military on a lot of things does not mean that I have a problem with your average Israeli citizen. I don't at all. That'd be like hating somebody out in a rice paddy field just because the government was a CCP. That's fucking retarded.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker.
Right. I have a problem with pretty much every foreign government that's not my government, and I hate my government too. So,
Yep. Same here in Britain.
Although things seem to be looking up a little bit with mine for now. Anyway, we'll see.
Let me tell you how much things are looking up. Captain Curmudgeon was doing the decline of Western civilization on our Sunday show, and he has changed it to the golden age of civilization.
Huh.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking things are looking up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. LaPoe says only following orders is not a defense according to the World Court. Here's the thing. The World Court is not a legitimate authority.
Nope.
Also, that doesn't matter.
To agree with that, but yeah, the World Court doesn't fucking matter.
Well, it really doesn't matter if you win. Ask Canada.
It's a World Court in name only.
It's funny that you say ask Canada because LaPoe is in fact Canadian. So.
Just saying, it's only a war action until Canada does it, and then it's in the Geneva Conventions.
Right. I can't wait for a few things. I'm really interested in seeing how much of the proposed release of documents are going to be redacted.
I think there's going to be 3 waves. The first wave is going to be absurdly redacted. It's going to be like a bad joke, like somebody's trolling Trump, right? Then the second wave is going to have like a 30 to 50% redaction.
You think you think Bondi's going to actually let them redact the shit out of it?
Well, the thing is I think they're going to do it regardless, and then they'll have to correct it. I don't think there's a question of whether or not interference is going to be run. It's just how far is it going to go. Yeah. Like I said, I think the first round will go exactly the way you think. You'll receive a whole bunch of typed out black pages.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is all of them or select? Like say JFK versus Epstein.
I think the Epstein list will be more redacted than the JFK situation, but I think both of those will be significantly redacted on the first draft.
No, I think they were saying something about.
Well, hold on one second. Here's the thing about this: is you're asking the federal government to give up their plausible deniability of involvement in things, right? That's what you're doing. You're going up there and you're saying, "Hey, can you tell me the truth about this?" And the government's like, "I was fucking with that shit."
Right. Well, that's my concern, is because what we're asking them to do is to expose everybody who was involved, right, regardless of their position in society. And the problem is up till now, it's all been obstructed by people who we assume, right, are involved. Right. They're still in power. They're still in office. They're still in Washington and Hollywood and on all of these places. And they're still in a position to prevent that information from coming out. And you don't think that they're going to do everything in their power to prevent their names from coming out? Like executive order or not, somebody's going to stand in the way of this, because they don't want to lose their standing or their funding or their status or their freedom or their lives.
There's the propaganda. You have to remember the message of the past 8 years, 10 years has been like the message, right? They're going to do it because they're on the right side of history and that guy is a dictator. And that's not it at all. He's using entirely executive privilege. Like, that's all this is a president doing what presidents have been supposed to do for the past 50 years and have just kind of went, I'd rather go golfing.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the gold reserve? Oh, we that's been empty for fucking decades, man.
They were talking about that today.
Yeah.
I think Trump and Elon are going to go down there and they're going to live stream them walking into there.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, I think the most significant thing that could be done would be to actually audit the Federal Reserve itself.
That's on the docket. They're going to Fort Knox to check out the gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes
somebody told me once that those aren't gold ingots; they're actually tungsten ingots with gold like on them. Right.
See, that's not. I had heard that they were nickel, not tungsten.
Well, I heard that they were purchased from the Ferengi, and it's actually gold pressed platinum.
I mean, it could easily be lead. You could fool people into thinking lead was gold by just putting fucking gold leaf over lead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they share very similar properties. They're about the same weight, Yeah. That's one of the reasons that the ancient alchemists thought they could turn lead into gold, because they're very, very similar with in properties and all of that. Very heavy, very malleable. One is obviously much more conductive than the other one is. But like you can shoot alpha waves right through gold. They'll bounce off of lead.
Yeah. That is an interesting point, though, isn't it? That there are things that these two materials are very, very similar on every physical test we can give them, but the second you go into the electromagnetic spectrum, gold is very different.
Oh yeah, the only reason that we don't use gold wiring in our walls and such for our electrical purposes is because while it is indeed much more conductive than copper's less likely to catch fire. That's it. That's the only reason. Up until I think 1972 in the United States, they were still using gold wiring, and they stopped after a bunch of houses burned down.
There was a period where they used aluminum wiring, and that stuff physically gets warm.
Yeah.
I ran across a couple of houses built that during like the 40s, 30s, and 40s down here when I was a carpenter. And we would go in, and the second we'd find these things, because they used to have a coating on them, 120 years ago when it was made at a wax coating with like canvas backing, and that's gone. That wire is just hanging in free air, waiting patiently to cause a house fire any second now. Charged, hot.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, yeah, I don't know where we're going with the whole wiring thing, but yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything in the reserve when they get there. I think that all of that got sold off to foreign interests years ago.
Well, anyway, back to robots and AI and stuff.
yeah, to make robots.
yeah. Let's get some robot presidents. I mean, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? You know, presidents have
head in a jar on a robot.
Exactly, yeah. Like living biological presidents have 2-term limits, but a robot version of the same one could keep going forever. So I've just posted this. Yeah, and it wouldn't be technically unconstitutional either. This is from a company called Clone Robotics. I've just put a link in the private chat if you want to bring that up.
Oh yeah. I think we looked at this last night.
Yeah, this is full blown Westworld type stuff now.
Forgot about that. All right. Hopefully this goes off without a hitch this time.
Sam, you sound very muffled.
Do I?
That's because
I wasn't speaking into the microphone.
Yeah.
Take
I was
the
trying
dick out of your
to
mouth
talk
and speak into the microphone.
That is nightmare fuel. I hate this. I hate every part about this. This is wrong. We should kill it with fire before it reproduces.
Have you seen this yet, Scott? Swatch? Yeah.
I glanced at it out of the corner of my eye, immediately gave stop that, gave it the criminal side eye and just dismissed it entirely. That is wrong. That is the literal meat suit you hear people talking about, and I want no part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cylons.
So,
this goes to Cylons. Getting to Cylons doing this. This is Cylon shit.
Yeah.
Indeed, it is. It's some wild stuff there. Now, can you imagine if you put a frame like this over the Killbot from the first story?
But stop it. God, I don't want to see that thing doing that anymore. It's just so wrong. It's a golem.
Yeah, basically.
Actually, that's probably exactly the right word.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's probably exactly
that is a dissociated, not soulless meat suit that acts on our commands. That is not anything related to anything natural.
For those who don't remember the story, the Golem of Prague was a clay man who was brought to life with the sacred name of God, either, depending on who you ask, either on a scroll under his tongue or carved into his forehead or whatever. By a rabbi who wanted to stop the destruction of his people by the other people of Prague who were very much against Jews. Yeah. And it killed all of the rabbi's enemies, but it didn't stop killing and eventually destroyed the rabbi himself. It was somebody else, I think, who had to wipe out the name of God off of its forehead or destroy the scroll or whatever. That is the only thing that ended up stopping it.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale about not like invoking powers that, maybe you shouldn't.
It was the first Terminator in history.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That is a very good analogy, except that the Terminator operates with an AI that is derived from the future, whereas the Golem was operating on a base command, kill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing about it is that it's interesting because Terry Pratchett also worked golems into his Discworld stories. And there's the interesting thing about his golems is that just like the Golem of Prague, if you set them to a task, they will not stop the task until you stop them. Right. So if you say, hey, go dig a trench, they will dig a trench and they will keep digging that trench until that trench encircles the world. And then they will continue to dig it until it reaches the center of the earth, unless you stop them and set them to another task or tell them to stand down.
In the Discworld series, the city of Ankh-Morpork exists only because the golems of a previous era continue doing the things necessary to make a city exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like less cannibalistic Morlocks. Because they don't eat, because they're claymen.
And so underneath the city, there's thousands of golems toiling away every day, dragging the detritus of the city out from under it so it doesn't get buried in its own trash. And without that, the city itself wouldn't exist, which means the only reason this city is here is because someone else put a city here. And it's been so long ago that everything but the magical servants have rotted away and failed. We don't even know the kingdom's name that built them.
They don't even remember it. Most of them can't speak. No.
See, now I'm just thinking of the song "We Built This City," but just with "They Built This City."
On rock and roll.
Yeah,
on rock and clay.
Yeah, it fits
that is
so
not a
well.
reference to meth and coke,
right? That too. You know, it's interesting, and I should probably apologize for this, Abe, but I just assumed because you were British, you read all the same Terry Pratchett books I did. So sorry.
Oh well, I haven't read all of them, but I am familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he got knighted, so I figured you probably knew who he was. But,
you know. Oh, didn't you know? Everyone who gets knighted in the UK, we're all mates.
No, not that you all mate. I just like.
I used to know the Queen, buddy.
Seen her once on $1 bill.
Hi. Fuck you and your whole country.
We already have.
Keir Starmer and Labour have definitely already done that. So
I suppose that's fair. It's just like when people from like fucking Japan or whatever, they're just like, hey, do you know Britney Spears? It's like, yeah, we're old mates. You know, it's like, sure, met her a bunch of times. No, I don't know fucking Britney Spears. There's almost a fucking quarter of almost 500,000 people in this country. Billion.
Yeah.
This is so dumb. So when I tell people I'm from Georgia, the only person that off the top of their head, most of the people I deal with are football junkies. And when I'm like, I'm from Georgia, they go, do you know Herschel Walker? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, no, like, he went to school with my brother. Yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say, like, someone has asked you, oh, do you know the devil? Didn't he go down to Georgia that one time?
Yeah, I sold him a bag of weed on the way out.
Looking for a soul to steal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
It was in a local paper and everything.
Fire on the mountain, run, boy, run.
Yeah. Chicken in the bedpan figuring out no. You need to figure it out, kid. You're gonna be left behind.
No, but
yeah,
I am familiar with Terry Pratchett. Yeah.
Better be. I'm gonna call you an uncultured swine.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I mean, me too.
I never claimed to be anything more than a savage.
Well, I often say surround yourself with savages and then rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Oh man. So although I do believe this, right? I think that Terry Pratchett should be taught in fucking school, right? He absolutely should. I think he had a way of looking at things that put things in a very skewed perspective that made reality make more sense, if that makes sense.
Well, it's the juxtaposition of the literal take of something that is said or done. And this is a big problem I have. Most people don't say what they mean. They say things and expect you to interpret what they mean. And if you just simply respond directly, people act like you're the most crazy person in the room, right? But that's kind of what Terry Pratchett did with the Discworld series, is apply literal interpretation to the language that people use on a daily basis. Like, for instance, pull the other one, it has bells on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
And look at the gal's face right now. Lost. Lost.
I think she's just really cold.
There is that. I have a cat in my lap, and I was reading something.
She has kitty paralysis and is doing a different stream. Gotcha.
It's a real thing, kitty paralysis.
Yeah,
I get
toxoplasmosis.
Nobody
gondii.
asked Peanut Gallery Sam.
Holy Jesus! What is the obsession with that?
She has cats.
That's the only that is the only
Jesus.
Toxoplasmosis is the only reason that people allow cats to fucking have the position that they
You
occupy.
know that means you've had it. You have it, right?
No, it means I'm resistant to it because I still fucking hate them.
No, it doesn't.
I recognize that cats are evil, and I don't trust them at all.
Evil.
They are absolutely evil.
They're 100% evil.
Madam, have you ever set a glass on the edge of a counter?
Yes. And the cat did not knock it over.
Lies. All lies. You're covered from
other shit over
your brain.
No, my cat has never done anything like that either. She's a chilled out kitty.
Never knocked anything off the counter or the coffee table even.
I've knocked off more shit than my cat has.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a criminal. Oh, wait, we didn't mean crimes. My bad.
No, I'm not from Australia.
Australia's not real.
Yeah, I'm looking for the thing that I.
Hey, Sam, this is like a tiny detail, and I'm wondering if you picked up on it. You know, the counterweight continent, you know, they didn't know it was there for sure. No one had ever been there, but they deduced that it must be there because there's enough space for it and the disc doesn't wobble. So it has to be there and it has to be this heavy and at least this big. And from that, they determined that it must be full of gold because it's so heavy.
Oh, is this one of the variations of the flat earth theory?
Yeah, it's Discworld.
Yeah.
I mean, it's magic. You can do that.
Yeah.
That's where all the legends come from the counterweight continent having cities of gold as a byproduct of the mathematics it would take to balance the disc given the size of the known world.
In Terry Pratchett's own words, if cats looked like frogs, we'd realize what nasty, cruel little bastards they are. Style, that's what people remember.
Point.
I never know if it's because Gal or
I said truer words were never written.
I mean, there's probably a nugget of truth to that. Yeah.
The nugget. The size of the counterweight continent.
Sam, I just put something hilarious in the private chat.
How dare you, sir? Humor has
Was
been
it the thing about the dogs?
Yeah,
or
this is a
other
humorous
Not the
place,
cats
thank
versus
you.
dogs thing, the most recent one.
Let's see. Oh, I don't care about this at all. All right, we'll bring that up. All right, so this is you're talking about the thing about Taylor Lorenz, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody
My
named
eyes.
Ariadne Jacob. I barely know who, suck it up, mortal. I barely know who this Ariadne Jacob person is. Or Ashley St. Clair's kind of been across my radar once or twice in the last couple of years. And, Taylor Lorenz is a woman who's much older than I am, cosplaying a 30-year-old.
Yes.
Nice.
All right. So what is it here that she's saying? How did Taylor Lorenz break this story? Ashley St. Clair gave it to her. The so-called free speech warrior ran straight to the queen of media smears to control the narrative. Tells you everything you need to know. I mean, yeah. Is this a link to the article?
No, that's just a screenshot of Taylor Lorenz's tweet for the article. Because she didn't want to give Taylor Lorenz any sort of clout or whatever.
Gotcha.
Play those fucking games. But no, it's just hilarious because like Taylor Lorenz is also like massively anti Elon Musk. And obviously, she has to be, right, because of the fucking partisan bullshit that everyone plays by on the left. It's just hilarious because of all those people, the Posobics and all of them, congratulating this woman for choosing to have a baby and not aborting it out of wedlock.
See the
conservative hero.
Weirdly ironic.
Well, that's. So you were talking about this on your show, Weekend Pregame the other night, and like this is something that's kind of sticks in my craw a little bit about it, and I don't think I was as clear as I probably should have been in the chat. I don't know, character limits, and also I'm kind of an asshole. So,
you're also working.
Yeah, that's
lazy. Don't forget, you're also lazy, sir.
Also, I can be incredibly lazy. That's also true. Yes. But this whole thing with the puritanical Bible thumping right wingers going around screaming at the top of their lungs that the bastard child is a sin against God or whatever, and that's not conservatism. It's like, get fucked, guys. You're not. I
don't think that has anything to do with religion.
I agree, but there are people who do think that it does have to do with religion, and they're the ones bitching about it being out of wedlock.
Yeah.
You know, whereas there's other people who are just like, hey, she didn't kill the kid. That's awesome. And I happen to agree. No dead kids is a good thing. You know?
Yeah. But I mean, this only goes to prove that the whole thing was for money to begin with. Like, there's a lot of other shit coming out with like there's leaked. So she's
apparently suing him for like full custody and shit. Yeah.
She released screenshots of conversations she had with Elon.
Yeah, I saw some of the screenshots.
And people have been posted their screenshots that they were having with her, and like the whole thing was a fucking. It appears she was chasing down Elon for the bag for quite some time.
I mean, if that's the case, then I would fucking order a paternity test for sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You know, because if it's not his kid, he's not obligated.
For every kid, though.
He probably has an NDA for every kid, and she just violated it.
well, most of his kids were born through IVF, weren't they? So it was like
5 out of the 8, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, Gal, it doesn't work if you don't read the shots I shoot at you.
Huh?
Yeah, see, Zillage, I think that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Like if it's against your beliefs to have kids out of wedlock, I totally get that. I'm just saying, Musk isn't the fucking Christian. You know, so like he's not beholden to that. You know, I nor am I.
So what it does go against though is the traditional family values that these people preach.
I agree with that, and I'm on board with family values. I think that marriage isn't a bad thing, and that mother and father in the home raising the child together is the best setup for the best possible outcome. I absolutely agree with that. I'm just saying that this kid's probably not going to be like shooting up South Central. He's way too loaded for that. He's going to be doing hookers and blow on some yacht somewhere.
Yeah. His mom's already living in, what was it, a $40,000 a month apartment or some shit?
Yeah. No,
Jesus.
This kid's going to be degenerate. He's just not going to be the kind that ends up with like shooting people in the street. You know?
Oh, he might just end up dead in a hotel room.
Probably with a needle in his arm.
Yeah.
And that sucks. I mean, the fact that we can kind of predict it. Look, there's a correlation between absence of fatherhood in a child's life and where people end up. It's not always the case. You can always make better choices, but statistically, there's something there. There's something to that.
There's a direct correlative between fatherless home and explosive anger issues in pubescent and post-pubescent boys, and that carries into adulthood. And
I know someone's going to say correlation is not causation, yada yada. Yeah, sure.
But the data is overwhelming. It's every demographic. It doesn't matter whether you're rich, you're poor, you're none of that. Demographics and economics has no bearing on this one particular data point. And so that strikes me as like maybe it should be paid attention to.
Yeah, when a correlation goes beyond any specific set of circumstances, you should probably take it, more seriously.
I mean, grain of salt, sure, right? But at the same time, it is a tidbit of statistics that seems to be fairly hardwired in the species.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Lepo, I gotta ask. When you say rouge, you mean like French for red, right? Because on the internet, sometimes people spell rogue, rouge, and rouge rogue.
I thought it was more of a chartreuse.
I was just thinking of that clip from Family Guy where Stewie's got like a purse full of rouge and paper clips.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a consistent problem on the internet. Is like they're commonly mistaken words that get like just blown out of proportion. You notice how many people spell lose loose?
Yes,
I'm going rouge.
Individually, gas chambers, bro. I am that guy, Nazi. me and Gal get along at this one point. I will straight up. Actually, I've gotten a lot better since I started my channel. I
haven't.
I noticed. Oh, baby.
Yeah. Lepo does speak Canadian. That's true. He does speak. He speaks
show
Canadian in
Gal
both
has
languages.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're definitely a rouge channel.
Oh yeah.
Off the grid, doing our own thing. To hell with what the man says. A rouge channel. Just like
I specifically went to a coffee shop today because they had a Trump flag. I like to support small, non-chain coffee shops. And when I pulled up, they had shit everywhere that was like support the troops. It had a little don't snack on me magnet thing with a cat.
And now you're broke.
It was a whole thing. They were very much like my freedoms don't end where yours began, like shit like that. And
super rouge pilled.
I very much enjoyed a conversation with the lady. Like it was such a small, it was kind of like a she shed size place, like where someone just like buys a shed and turns it into like a shop type of thing. And you just pull up to the window where you order and then they make it and hand it to you all in one thing. There's not like anything else to it. And it was just glorious. And they had like, it was great. And I specifically went there just because of the Trump flag. And I was very satisfied as I pulled up and I saw everything.
You see there, ladies, Trump satisfies women with just a flag.
True.
Yeah, they even let him do it.
Try that
You know how there's some people who put bumper stickers all over their car where like bumper stickers are thrown up on the back end.
Usually a sign of a psycho.
Yes. Well, that's basically what it reminded me of. Like just outside the window, it was covered in all of that type of stuff. I was just like, I'm okay with this because it's not a car. When people do that to cars, I want to hurt them because
I kind of want to hurt Zillage right now.
Ever saw that Trump restaurant?
Induced pain. It is cathartic.
Zillage. For
Trying to
shame.
start some shit again.
Is it cathartic if there's no purpose to the pain? If the pain doesn't bring healing, if it's just
Well, let me put it this way. Did you see the recent the Dune Part 2? Right?
Yeah.
Fuck that
No,
movie.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so
sorry.
there's a scene. Without giving too much away, everybody knows Fade Routh is a bastard. So there's a scene where Fade has a Fremen woman captive, and she's like, oh, well, his Harkonnen dudes are like, oh, she won't talk, and he's like, oh, that's okay. She killed 9 of my people without breaking a sweat. It's already told me everything I need to know. Only pleasure remains, and then he breaks out the tools.
Oh,
I think that's kind of where Sasquatch is going with this.
Yeah, I was thinking of Yusan Vaughn kind of concept.
Yeah.
Pleasure, pain for the point of pain and a cathartic release of strength.
Hi, Caitlin Scott.
Hi, Caitlin Scott. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, hold on. Let me do one for her. Jizz Man in Space.
For some reason, I thought you were going to go down the route of powdered toast man.
That's where I got
It's more of a Captain Caveman kind of thing, but yeah, along those lines.
It's this in between there, yeah. It's straight
Maybe
out of like
because you're so old.
the late 90s cartoon era, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, for Just Man lore, you'll have to go back a few months.
Oh, I got voices like I can do like some really weird readings. I did a Alex Jones Mississippi Squirrel revival to get Captain Curmudgeon to do a parody song with me, and his very first parody song went like 174,000 views. Like that's what made his channel. Yes, dude, it's great. It's called Hunter Biden Cocaine Blues. You probably heard it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my Mississippi Squirrel revival didn't do nearly as well. It was copyright claimed immediately, and
I love that video. That was so much fucking fun. That was great. Like, oh man, you should do more of that dude's music with Alex Jones' voice. I think like Blue Cyclone, for example, or The Streak.
I don't know. See, I might be able to pull off The Streak. But Blue Cyclone has that Blue Cyclone. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's a great song though.
You just can't. Blue. It doesn't work.
Hey, El Perro. The butt.
Hotep.
Welcome in.
I like El Perro is kind of special in a special kind of way. He's got a little Hitler mustache that he wears just for shock value, and it's near and dear to my heart because he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met until you trigger him, and then you just get the full vitriol of like 57 years of being trapped on this earth. Like
nice.
Let's see. Yep. God, you're doing that an awful lot lately. Anyway, just fucking with you.
I didn't go to it last week because it was snowed. And I didn't want to drive my brother's truck.
Because it was inconvenient?
Why not? If you wreck that thing, it's his problem. He's just balled out.
It's not like he doesn't have wheels attached to him.
No. Let me explain. When I got my first car, I drove it home and I went in to take a shower. When I came out, my brother had stolen my keys and hauled ass with it, which I thought fair enough. I've done that to him enough. And he walked back home because he wrapped that thing around somebody's mailbox because the dude's mailbox was like a concrete pillar that was attached to a previous mailbox stand from like the mid-20s. So this thing was like anchored to the soul of God, and it just wrapped my little Mazda around it like paper. And he just walked back. It was like a mile away from the house. He walked back into the house and just set the keys back where he picked them up. I went and sat down and opened the book, went to read it. I was like, where's my fucking car? He's like, next door. What the hell's it doing over there? Around the mailbox. And I hope you're insured. I am, but he's like, you'll get a new car. I didn't. They sent me like $4,000 because it was a piece of shit. It was really, really, really. It didn't have a windshield. It was bad. I had expanded metal across where the windshield was. I suspect he did it to stop me from driving it anymore.
Right. Yeah. No. This is probably a good time to start doing outros. Anyhow, a couple hours in, I know that I'm hungry as fuck, so I'm gonna go eat a bunch of food now. So
nice.
Kind of how it's been. I don't know. This is I think this has been a pretty reasonably coherent show for giving value, reason, and coherency. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, thank you all for joining us and all that stuff. It's nice to have a larger panel on here on occasion as well.
Yeah, Squatch and I are chopped liver to Sam.
No, it's fine. You just got you guys have got to be, jonesing for.
I'm a fine liver pate, madam.
He's duck pate.
I think he's more goose.
I might be a little silly goose. You might be right.
Yeah, he's a bit. So let's go around the horn and let people know where they can find you. Static, you up first.
Yeah, you can find me on my channel, Static 2020. Monday, we've got Monday Night Bloodbath, where we're going to be going over everyone roasting the mainstream media, because it has been absolutely delightful. And, Trump ripping into the main governor and all of that. And then we've got Thursday, we've got the weekend pregame, where I'm not quite sure what we have for a main topic, but I've already got some gross cringe shit to share with everyone.
Yeah, you and Larry. Oh, some of the shit that Larry had a question on the quiz last night that involved the answer involved a guy who had been stashing away like 100 corpses so that he could fuck them.
What?
Yeah,
I said I didn't want to hear it. Did you not hear me?
I disavow everything this man has said.
We've also got the Jack Off Club in Seattle that was getting government money.
I'm starting to not know what he's saying too.
Well, I was glad to have you here, Static. Hey, what do you got coming up? Where can people find you?
That's a great segue. Yeah.
Careful. You be
careful. You'll normally find me on Tomby's channel, The Real Tombly Blues. I'll be doing gaming streams on Tuesday and Thursday, and then a Wednesday chinwag that we do. And then I'll be back on Beelzebub next Saturday. Or Friday night for some of you.
Yeah, it's a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
It's Saturday.
It's like
for
right
me.
at midnight for me, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think
All right.
Devil changed the time because he was always putting 12 p.m.
Yeah. It's 11 for
Because
him
it's
now.
11 p.m. for him, so then he doesn't make that mistake.
Yeah, but he's on the Pacific and I'm on Mountain Time, so it's like, yeah. It's
are?
I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to the audience. Hey.
Yeah, because the audience doesn't fucking know that.
Yeah, I'm on GMT, so it's like 7 a.m.
Hey, there could
for me
be
to
new
be on
people
that
in
show.
the audience. Shit.
Some of the
Shush!
people in the audience
I
are
didn't say
every
you
bit
can
as
help
bad
it.
as this time zone shit as I am. Let's be honest.
It's balling.
The earth is flat. There are no time zones.
I also think Devil would like to go even another hour earlier.
Yeah, if he does that, that would be interesting because I'm going to end up missing the first hour of it.
Yeah, same here.
But if it ran for 3 hours, that wouldn't be nearly as bad.
He's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But yeah, that said, Caucasian Sasquatch, you have some fun stuff coming up. Let's be.
I got a mountain of trash coming up. In the past couple of days, I'm scheduled. Just my whole week's shot up. Listen. So tomorrow I have the Blast Radius with Captain Curmudgeon, where we do the Golden Age of Civilization news roundup, a couple of like this day in history and facts you didn't know, and we look at a video of people screwing over the American people, their politicians. Then Monday I have a Sasquatch Shills for 5/5 that is fairly explanatory. That's a channel on YouTube. It does things. I'm interviewing them. We're going to talk about their channel. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern Monday. On Tuesday, I'm doing the Naughty Corner with Ajot, which is, you guessed it, folks, at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. There might be a little pattern developing here. Thursday, I have a Sasquatch Shills for Truism the Storm Crow. Can you guess when, Sam?
Is it 8 p.m. Eastern?
You got it, dude, on the first try. One more wrinkle in that brain, dude. You're doing good.
I actually saw the thumbnail earlier.
Right. All right. I think that pretty much covers it. If I forgot, Thursday, no. Saturday, I might do a chilling with Sasquatch if I'm not, banging my wife or something.
Well, you are, don't put
good
it
luck.
they're not going to take it down. Gal, what do you have coming up? Where can people find
Clicking
you?
the books on Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, where I take the book list collecting dust in the corner and read it to you, so you don't have to. Nobody's got time for that. I force myself to have time for it because I miss reading. And some people don't like to or can't read for whatever reasons, so at least they can listen to me read it.
What's
for free.
reading?
You don't have to
I
pay
like
all-
pictures.
Well, I'm the picture.
Send
Nice.
nudes. Chop, chop.
Picture, right? Not always as cute though.
I'll take the strike. It's okay. Just got a couple of them laying around,
We're reading
Right.
Frankenstein right now. It's a good book. I enjoy it.
Yeah. That it is. And surprisingly very relevant to half the shit we were talking about today.
I mean, I guess, yeah, technically.
Yeah. All right. As for me, myself, and I am Samuel the Infamous. Normally on Saturday evenings, we would be over on Exiled Lioness 2 when she goes live, but I just got word there is no Lioness stream tonight.
So everyone's
she does go
aware
live?
that's lioness, like a female lion, not lioness.
Go fuck yourself.
Not like Linus from the Peanuts.
Was that enunciated clearly enough for you?
I mean, you were roboting out.
Oh,
Well, that's because he was actually getting up on that mic.
yeah.
If you want to be overpowered, let me know.
I suppose we could just switch over to our ASMR PBS,
So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight
broadcasting
we'll be
voices,
looking at way
because
too
we know it
broad
makes Gal
in your
uncomfortable.
windshield.
We can just talk like this for hours and hours and hours, and maybe a little bit of pottery.
All
You know,
we
a
need
little
to
bit
do
of
now is
class,
start
a
playing
little bit of
Feed the
TDS.
Ducks.
I could just drop out because I do have some liquid.
That's fair. I'll give you that. Anyway, that's for me. You can find me over on Exiled Lioness when she goes live. I've got Mellow Mondays on Adam the Renaissance Nerds channel next Monday. Next Friday, we'll be back here on this channel for Abyssal Musings with my co-host and partner, Lawrence Knight, who will undoubtedly have some more appalling shit to show us. Then back on Devil's channel for Beelzebub right after that, like 20 minutes after that. And then back here for Screaming Into the Void. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for being here. I hope you liked the show. If you didn't, I mean, why are you here? But thank you for being here anyway. We appreciate all of you.
Thanks for having me on again.
Listen to
It's been a pleasure.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, buddy, anytime. I know it's late where you are, and that sleep is something that you fear because then the Muslims come.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. There's like loud banging noises outside right now.
Yeah, it's probably pipe bombs.
Probably.
So anyway,
Yeah.
have a great night, everybody.
You need a guard goat.
It's so cool. I'm going to tell a joke, and I want you to end it before I get to the punchline. So a white guy, black guy, and a Mexican are walking down a beach. White guy looks at the black guy and says,